Have you wondered what is your true value as a subject matter expert, as a professional in your field? How do you demonstrate that value to an audience so that they know why you're the one for them, why they should pick you? In this episode, I'm going to get into this with a wildlife artist. It's going to be unusual, but actually still quite relevant to you. I think you will enjoy it. Stay tuned.
You're listening to The Brand Compass, conversations to navigate your way to building a brand fit for purpose and poised for success. Here's your host, 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗚.
Hello there, my friend, and we are back for another episode. If you're a regular, you'll know that this is the corner of the world where we get together and chat openly and genuinely about all the ways in which your personal brand meets the humans you serve. I'm 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦, your host on this conversational journey, and today we're adding to my series of conversations with subject matter experts who've come on to share how they are faring, shaping a version of themselves that they are happy to share with the outside world, and what that looks and feels like for them. Today, I have a huge treat for you. So my guest today caught my eye probably about 8 years ago, and I've only just started following his work properly on Instagram around early 2019. And while I follow a heck of a mix and lots of people in different spaces, he really outperforms anybody that I'm following in his space. And I'm biased, of course, because he's South African, and his subject matter pulls on some really deep roots for me. But now that I've actually got to meet him and chat to him, I can safely say he truly is a magnificent, talented human being. And I'm so chuffed to have him come and spend some time with you and me today. So let me give you a little bit of background to him, and then we'll get straight into our conversation. So Darryn Eggleton is a highly sought after South African wildlife artist based in Suffolk in the UK. His love and passion for the natural world started at a young age with family trips into the African bush and his family home being within the borders of the Kruger National Park. Very lucky man. He is deeply connected to his subject matter and obsessed with bringing his animals to life on the canvas. While he has won and been shortlisted for a wide variety of wildlife art awards, he has also enjoyed being a resident artist at a luxury golf resort on the banks of the Crocodile River in the Kruger National Park, at the Nature in Art Museum in Gloucester, and even on the Queen Mary while sailing along the coast of South Africa. While he is not working on his painting, he likes to relax with the walks and nature whenever possible, keeping fit at the gym to balance out all the sitting and getting back to South Africa whenever he can. Welcome, Darryn.
Thank you, 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗓. It's lovely to be here, and thank you for inviting me. I'm really, really honoured.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. Me too, actually.
And I've got to breathe really slow. So much like Jack in episode 64, I know you listened to Jack's episode as well.
Yeah.
I don't get to meet people that do what you do out in local networking. And of course, for understandable reasons, you're usually locked away somewhere, away from all the humans.
Yeah, very much so.
Painting. So to kick things off for our listeners who may not know of you or your work, and I will be including your work in the videos and in the show notes, can you share a little bit about how you got to be sitting here today doing the work that you're doing and being known for the genius talents and gifts that you have?
Yeah, well, it started out as a hobby when I was a young child. Like you said, like we often used to go into the bush, and I just became really passionate about the animals. So what I would do is I would do little sketches and drawings of the animals that I'd seen during the day. And that sort of like passion just sort of followed me through into my sort of teen years. And it's been my life purpose, I suppose. It's just sort of the destiny that I'm on. So like I've just always painted. I love nature. I love trying to paint animals as real as possible. Like I love trying to give people the feeling that I would get when I do the paintings. And that passion has just been something with me from a very young age. And I've just sort of stuck at it and worked at painting no matter what came my way, no matter what hurdles came my way. I've always stuck with it, and that sort of brought me, long story short, to where I am today, basically, where I'm able to do it full time.
You need to tell us about Leopard Creek, though, don't you? 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like that was like a really big pivot point career-wise.
No, it really was. So At the time, I think I was about 18 years old, and the group marketing director for Intercontinental Hotels in South Africa, he invited me to go and be a resident artist at their hotel within the Leopard Creek Golf Estate.
God, 18, Darryn.
Yeah, no, it was really young. So,
can't believe it.
yeah, I was really young. But to be honest with you, like, I just thought at the time, well, it's a really good opportunity. I didn't know what to expect. Essentially, what I had to do was I was going to go paint on their lookout deck overlooking the river. And then I was almost like a tourist attraction, you could say, as the people would come and see me working, and they would have their drinks looking out over into the bush. And it was being there that really, it created like a really solid foundation, because it gave me the belief in what I was doing. It gave me the belief just to know that people were appreciating my work and they were willing to buy the work off me. So yeah, I mean, that in itself, I was there for about 3 years, and that was like the best foundation that I could have had, because it's just, whenever I've gone through any hard times, any like challenges and rejections and all that in this career of being an artist, I always turn back to that point, like in my head, because to me that was a turning point. You know, I've always got to think that I had that belief when I was that young, and I've just carried that through until where I am today.
Gosh, man.
Yeah. And it was really amazing, to be honest with you. I mean, like, literally, I was on my own a lot of the time, and I had like some really amazing like experiences in the wild, because I was there for so long. I just became so in tune with the animals and the bush, and like I really felt like all that energy was fed into me and into my creative side. So it's just something that I've just carried with me ever since then. It's never left me.
And leopards are still your favorite.
Still my favorite animal, yeah. I would consider it my spirit animal, definitely.
Yes,
yeah.
I think
they
are.
are.
Yeah. So you came to the UK at some point.
Yeah.
So where was that in the age? So
I think I was like late 21. I was probably going to 22, and yeah, moved over here. The reason for moving from South Africa to the UK was, at the time, I mean, the internet had only just sort of become a thing back then, and I wanted to try and get my work to a wider audience. I thought moving over to England would enable that. So, you know, you go from South Africa, where you literally don't, you know, everyone
cut off from the rest of the world as well.
Yeah, you know everyone, and you sort of have like your little bit of, you've already built that little clientele base. And I thought like, yeah, I'll be able to go to the UK and do the same thing, and literally landed, and I got the biggest dose of humble pie, because all of a sudden you're just one of many millions of people, you know. So it's, but you know, like, it was really difficult, but I was continually painting, like, from the minute I always landed. Like, you know, I always had some artwork going. I always made sure that I was doing something, just to sort of like keep that motivation going.
I like that you kept practicing
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
You know, we know you've reached probably more than 1 million hours.
Yeah,
of
definitely.
painting.
I'm sure that I have.
You joined an art studio, right?
Yeah.
While you were in it. So tell me, like, because I feel like that had an impact in terms of your mindset and building those connections within artist communities. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so after working in a bedroom for many years, I found a place near to where I lived called Wimbledon Art Studios. Mm-hmm. And I managed to, a studio became available, and I was like, right, I'm just going to take the plunge and get one of these. And basically got the studio, and it was from being there, like, amongst such a wide variety of artists. You know, there were people doing all kinds of practices, painting all various subject matter, and just being there amongst those creative people, really, like, that was where everything changed for me, because you have your work, you're hanging it next to other artists who are really established, and you can just sort of see the direction you want to go, and, you know, you feed off other people's opinions and criticism and
energy.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the energy there was amazing, and like really lovely people. And one of the good things about being there was that they held open studios, which was twice a year. And in Southwest London at the time, it was quite a big event. I mean, they had about, at least I would say, between 5,000 and 8,000 people visiting the studios over the course of a weekend. So, and that was the first time that I'd ever actually exhibited my work in England anywhere, you know. So, like, the very first time it happened, I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I just sort of like got advice from the other artists on how to display your work, because that's very important, you know. It's like,
Lighting.
Yeah, it's all got to look perfect. You got to make it feel like you're walking into a gallery when you're walking into the people's studios. So yeah, being there and just having the feedback from all those people and having galleries come past. So it just really opened up a lot of doors for me.
And most importantly, how many paintings did you sell, Darryn?
Yeah, so the very first show that I did there, I basically sold all the paintings that I had. And I did not expect that at all. I think a lot of the other artists there were also quite impressed. So yeah, it was just that to me, just again, that was a sign that this is something that I need to pursue. And it just gave me that determination. It's a stubborn determination, because even after that, I had that sellout open studio. There's still many struggles that come along the way, but I've always, because of that, I have that self-belief. And I think that's very important.
I think they reinforced your self-belief by people actually liking what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing better than someone actually liking what you're doing and paying you for it.
No, definitely it is. It's a real sort of like, it's not just the paying for it. It's knowing that they're going to hang one of your paintings in their home and it's going to be there forever. It's something that you're going to see every single day. And I want people, when they see the work, I want them to like smile. I want them to be intrigued by it all the time. I want them to have that feeling every single time they look at it.
We skipped past Mr. Buerta.
Oh yes, yeah.
So you need to, like, this is quite early on, like secondary school, right?
Yeah,
so
no, it is. So the
the
very first painting I ever sold was to my head teacher, the principal of the school, the secondary school, the high school in South Africa would call it.
Amazing.
Yeah, so he commissioned me to do a painting for his bar. And it was a big thing, like the whole school was involved. Like when I brought it to the school, everyone wanted to see the painting. Yeah, and it was really cool. And yeah, like he messaged me a couple of months ago saying that they've still got the painting, it's still hanging in their bar. And that was, I mean, we're talking at least 30 years ago.
Oh,
yeah. So
man.
Yeah, and that was really cool.
So at which point, and that's amazing for any artist, right? Like my daughter's in 15 doing art. And I think for any teacher or somebody to just kind of, pull that out of you at that young age, it means a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Like it planted a seed. That's what I would say it did. It definitely planted a seed. And then going to do the resident artist in the Kruger Park, that was being watered, that seed was being watered. So it's all these different experiences that watered that seed, and now it's growing into a tree. It's like really like expanding.
And tell me a bit about at what point 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦 actually approached you, and just explain who 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦 is for listeners if they don't know.
So 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦 is one of the biggest art distributors, gallerists in the world, actually. So they are based in the UK, and I think they have about 50 galleries. I could be mistaken, but they have galleries here, and they're starting to open galleries in the US. And
they're also on cruise ships.
And they're on cruise ships, many of the cruise ships. So yeah, I've been with them for since 2016, I would say, and it's been life-changing for me being with them. They've been a really, really good gallery to be with. They support their artists.
You didn't want them initially?
No, I was really skeptical. It wasn't because of them. Like for me, I was living in Switzerland at the time, and I decided to come over to the UK to do an art fair. And I did the art fair, and then one of the gallery or the artist managers happened to see my work at the fair, and she got in contact with me. And she was like, "Oh, we'd really like you to join our portfolio." And I was a bit skeptical, because I've always known about them, but I just wasn't sure that my work was good enough. I had that self-doubt. I had that sort of like imposter syndrome. So I kept putting it off. And eventually I decided I'm just going to go for it and just see what happens. I got nothing to lose. So you got to take risks like that. And I went there and met with them at their headquarters in Birmingham. And yeah, they signed me up, and I've been with them ever since. And it's literally been a life-changing experience.
They've definitely given you the awareness and the platform to get your art out.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Right. So needless to say, Darryn, you're the first artist I've had on the show. And I just wanted to explain a little bit for the audience why I decided to bring you on the show. We'll jump into personal brands soon, but I just wanted to just share this bit first. While your work is, phenomenal, and I'm completely obsessed, it's only when I actually listened to you on another podcast where you were sharing your story that I got the full ramifications, really, of the the depth and the level to which you actually do the work that you do.
Yeah.
And I also got an insight into how your brain works.
Yeah.
And when it comes to your work, and it's really like, that's the fascinating part for me. But when you were talking, it became clear to me that you are becoming, or if not already, a thought leading subject matter expert in the type of art that you create. Now, you probably wouldn't have listened to these, but in 2 previous episodes, I shared firstly what I thought, or what I think a subject matter expert is in episode 17. And then I did another episode because there's this extra dimension of talking about this next level of expert status, where I believe that only 20 to 25% of subject matter experts are actually thought leading. A lot of them think they are, but they're not, right? So, but this is only where you've got this extra level of proficiency in something, where you're developing new ways of thinking or applying your knowledge, talents, or skills, and most importantly, others are actually pointing at you and looking to you as a thought leader in your profession. So I'm curious, like, what's your definition of a subject matter expert, and do you think you are one? Would you call yourself one?
I mean, I would say after all the years of hard work and studying the subjects and painting them almost every day, I would say I am an expert at what I do. I'm continually, like with every painting, I'm trying to work out how to improve the artwork, trying different techniques, how to create the vision that I want my viewers to see when they look at one of my paintings. You know, there's lots of different ways to paint an animal. There's lots of different methods. There's lots of different ways that people do things. But I've sort of got, like, I'm trying to work out the way that I can do it the most efficiently, but still get the same kind of effect, you know, like that's my main issue. That's the main focus for when I'm doing my art.
Now, if you had to think of a person that you would call a subject matter expert, who would that be?
Again, it's an artist that I've followed ever since I was a child. It's a guy called 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦. He's an American artist. He paints animals, but he paints them in the landscape. Yeah, he does really sort of like large-scale oil paintings, but for me, his technique and his ability to really understand his subjects and to portray the essence of his subjects onto the canvas is unmatched. Like, he's always been someone I've looked up to from when I was really small, to be honest. Like, every time I do a painting now, I always think, how would John do it? Like, how would he approach it? That's just the way that I think.
Did you ever reach out to him?
No, I haven't reached out to him. I should really.
Dude, if I'm brave enough to call you,
that's true. That is true. Yeah.
Right, so I want to talk a little bit about marketable value, because we started like just naturally talking about this somehow in our prep session anyway. And this is the bit that really affects how people value themselves and how they price their work, right? So I'm just going to explain a little bit for the listeners if they haven't listened to previous episodes, but what I mean by marketable value. So I have this way of working with clients where I help them just to understand where their true value lies, so that they can use that to then drive how they position themselves in the marketplace, and then how they actually price their service to the market. So I normally do this with a really simple visual, thinking about convex curves, right? So you've got a convex curve at the bottom, if you visualize it being at the bottom, which represents your aptitudes. So there's your technical making, thinking, or dream, you know, your skills basically. So for you, your technical ability to paint. Okay. And then we imagine this second convex curve lying at a slight distance above that aptitude curve, and this one represents your proficiency. So that's adding all your years of experience, your approaches or techniques you've developed over the years, and also those unique character nuances that are you, right? Yeah. So now the space between those two curves, that is your marketable value. And I think this is where people need to focus on when they're trying to express, demonstrate, or communicate, you know, where their real value lies. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does, definitely.
Okay. So can you talk us through how you've worked out and pieced together your own value in the marketplace from, shall we say, 25 years ago, actually, it's probably more than 20 years ago, to where you are today? How have you gotten to the point of where you're I know you've got the bit of the gallery as well, so there's a bit of pricing in the marketplace happening with there, but how did you work it out? Yeah,
to be honest, it was very difficult in the beginning to work out where to place yourself within the art world. I mean, you can't go and start selling paintings when you first start out for thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, you know. You've got to build up that reputation. And a lot of my reputation, I think, has come from my own unique experiences in the past. So my connection with the wild, with the animals, it's just part of who I am.
Your story.
Yeah. So it is really like, as an artist, in order to sell work properly and to get people engaged in your work, they're not necessarily buying the painting, they're buying the story behind the painting, the story of the actual artist. Yeah. And that to me is as important as the painting itself, because people want to know who the artist is. They want to know the story. They want to know the connection,
motivation for painting,
the motivation. Yes, exactly. So that's where I think my marketable value comes in. I've had all the years experience, plus I've also had that real connection with the animals that I paint. And often people, when they see my work, they can say that, often people that wouldn't even necessarily buy a picture of an animal, they'll see my painting, they'll go like, I would actually buy that. And that to me purely comes from knowing the subject matter, knowing how you would feel when you see these animals in the wild, and being able to portray that through the canvas.
You're not easily replicable, I think, for me. It's like anyone could say, and while I was researching for the episode anyway, because I hadn't necessarily looked loads into, I do a lot of wildlife photography. I like going to those kinds of shows, but it's only really your art that I've enjoyed. So I was like, right, okay, how does he compare? Like, what are the other techniques that are out there? Because I only know you, because I just follow yours. Yeah. And God, I could just see the difference between, it's not to say theirs are good or bad or different. It was different.
Yeah, it's just different. It's just, I think it is, for me personally, totally believe that it is seeing the animals. That's the most, seeing them in real life. That to me is the key, I would say.
I think because you keep going back, Darryn.
Yeah.
And because you do that research and finding the image that emotively does it for you, and then you reproduce that. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's all very emotive, all the work. And I think what also helped was the bits that you had these little points in your journey and your story where people have bought into you.
Yeah.
So almost like at each point, whatever that price was of that art, because we said before, it's like, yes, it's canvas, it's paint, and it's you, right?
Yeah, that's all it is.
But ultimately, it's more than that. And comparatively, we had that discussion about Taylor Swift, right? Yeah. So in theory, she's just a girl on a stage, and you're buying a seat in a stadium. But it's the experience and that full emotive journey that she takes people on. It's the same with your art, isn't it?
And I think that is the thing. Like, you want people to have that emotional experience when they view the painting. And, that once they know me and once they've spoken to me, I find that it really enhances that experience for them. Yeah. And, I'm a very open person. Like, I'm happy to talk to anyone about my work. Like, I've got nothing to, I'm not shy about talking about it, like, I'm willing to put myself out there. And I think that's also really key. You can't hide behind the work. You've actually got to step out in front of it.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because in theory, because you spend so much time on your own, that introversion, sometimes it's that much harder to come out.
Yeah.
But you're always at galleries. You do have, not always because you are busy painting, but I mean, you have those opportunities as well for people to come and see you in person as well.
And to me, that's one of the best, that's a real perk of the job, like, because I really enjoy doing the exhibitions and meeting the people that come to my work. And, I still have the imposter syndrome before every exhibition. You always think, oh my goodness, is anyone going to even show up? And they do. Every single time I've been literally blown away and swept off my feet, because you just never know that how many people out there are following you and look at your work, and your work speaks to them, and it helps them. I've had messages from people where just from having a painting, it's helped them through so many challenges, and that to me is like, it's invaluable.
I'm going to cry. Right, okay, stop, really. Okay. So I think that leads really nicely into what I'd like to find out from you is how you would define the concept of personal brand.
Personal brand is the story, I would say, It's what other people look at when they see your painting or look at me. It's the story of who I am and how I've got to where I am. And just the determination, that's the way I see it, like, it's all about the painting, but it's just about the artist as well.
Definitely. And I think that's I think you said in the prep session that because for artists it's really important for them to come forward.
Yeah, very
it's
much
really
so.
important for them to talk and share,
Yeah.
because like we've said, it's that motivation. But I think also when they get to meet you, Darryn, you're the same as what when you're DMing someone or you're emailing someone or
Yeah.
you're chatting to somebody,
Yeah.
and it's that consistency
Yeah.
as well.
And I think I believe in being consistent. There's no, like I said, I'm a very open person, and I'm happy. I feel like I'm friendly to everyone, and I'm always happy to like answer questions and talk about what I do. And yeah, so you're right about the consistency. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
And I think what you're just allowing people to do is to get to know you. I
Yeah.
think when you're too closed off, and if you do get too high and mighty and hoity-toity about, well, I don't associate
That's
with
never
the
going to
lonely
happen to me.
commoners.
Yeah.
You'll just always have that disjointedness from your audience,
Yeah,
because your
yeah.
work is so emotive. I think
Yeah.
it's obvious that you're emotive as an artist as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm quite an emotional person, but externally, I don't really like show it. A lot of the emotions go into the work. There's often paintings that I do, and I'll look at them and I'll actually remember how I was feeling at the time when I was doing the work, like what was going on in my life. There's all these different stories that go into the artwork, and I think that's what makes them come alive a bit more, I think.
And also it's what makes each one of them unique as well, so
Yeah.
that you haven't become this manufactured artist that's just producing things to be commercialized.
No, every painting that I do is, for me, it's the most important thing. Like no matter like every single painting, it is the most important thing in my life at the time. And even once they leave the studio, I always get a bit sad, because it's almost like a piece of you is leaving, like you're putting a piece of you out in the world. So yeah,
Have you ever done one that you just want to keep? Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'll keep that one. I'll just do another one for someone else.
The one behind me at the moment, I'm already thinking, I'd like to keep that one. So
Okay, maybe let's see the so everybody that's listening, there's it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that. So the colours starting on his
yeah,
forehead.
yeah. So there's been so many paintings, to be honest, that I've wanted to keep, but at the end of the day, like, it is a business, and you've got to sell the work. You've got to
you still need feet on the table.
Exactly. So yeah.
I think it's nice that you could be that proud of your body of work.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's nice knowing whether the paintings are out hanging in people's homes. I mean, like, it's such a cool feeling when people email me pictures of my work hanging up in their home. And I just
need to buy a new house so that I can have one.
Build another wall.
I need a wall, yes. Right, so, okay, so as we're going to start putting things together, but these two questions that I always ask the people that have come on to the series is, you have this really intense flow state that you get into when you paint. I'd love it if you'd share how you get yourself there and what that kind of looks and feels like for you when it's happening. Okay,
so for me, like, because I paint every day and it is my job, I've got to paint no matter, people always ask, oh, do you get it ever not in the mood to paint? There's no compromise.
There's no question.
Yeah, like if I'm in a bad mood, good mood, whatever the mood, I have to work. So what I find helps is I get up quite early, I'll go to the gym, do a workout, and then I'll come back home, have a coffee, and it's just getting my mental health in the right place where I'm able to sit down and not be overtaken by thoughts and emotions and everything, So it's just having that clear head. And so what I do is I sit down and I just pick up my palette. And even if the last thing I feel like doing is painting, I'll still pick up the palette and I'll start painting. Just one brushstroke at a time. And, it takes about, I would usually say about an hour or so. Like once you've figured out what colors you're using, like the rhythm of the paintbrush going onto the canvas, the area that you're working on. Once you've got that going, you enter that sort of flow state where you're painting and you can see the progression and like you can see the animal coming alive with every brushstroke that you do. And that to me that's the flow state where it's not something that's conscious, it's just happening. I don't know, that's
how you feeling.
Yeah. How am I feeling? I'm feeling relaxed, and like I'm not really like, often I'll have like music or the radio or just something going in the background, but I'm not even listening. I'm literally in the zone, completely focused on what I'm doing.
And you also sometimes, what do you listen to? sometimes to get into the mood?
I listen to your podcast.
That's a very good answer,
Yeah.
but actually the true answer is Afrikaans, right?
Yeah, no, I do. When
The check is in the
Yeah.
mail.
So when I'm working, like often, like, you know, like I like to have the sounds of the bush, you know, like up to me, just having that sound of all the birds and you hear like the hippos and what have you, that just transforms me or takes me back to that time when I was living there doing that artist residency at the Gulf Estate. So I'll put on like Africam or just some sort of wildlife webcam within Africa, and I'm not even actually watching it. I'm just listening. I'm just listening to the sounds. And that to me is just the most soothing way to get into painting. You're completely in the zone.
Yeah, God, I love that channel.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking, weren't we, about COVID, and
Yeah,
that's how I
yeah.
got through COVID.
Yeah,
really
me too. Honestly, like they were
the game range.
Yeah. Just watching the guys drive around, I was like, oh, yeah, that definitely helped
so
me get
jealous.
through. Yeah.
Oh dear, right. So I love that you've created this kind of mechanism for yourself, right? So
Yeah.
you get there faster,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
really useful when you're actually trying to produce work as well,
yeah.
especially for you trying to produce work for your gallery and that
Yeah,
as well.
no. There's always deadlines, and like my paintings, you know, they take a long time to do. They take a lot of energy. They take a lot of focus. So I need to have that mechanism where I can get up every
Snap
day
into it.
and just do it without procrastinating, because I'm known for my faffing. Like everyone knows me that I'm the biggest faffer in the world. So I need to like have that way of working in the morning, because otherwise I'll just faff all. Yeah, I'll just faff all day. You know, I think, oh, I'll go and have a sandwich, or you know, I'll check this website, or I'll look at the news, and like it's just distractions. You know, so it's just learning to have that discipline. Yeah.
But I think from years of doing what you do, you know that you've got to do that. Otherwise, you won't produce the work on time either.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's just and to me, it's like breathing now. You know, like it's something that I need to do every day. If I don't, if I can go away.
Weird.
Yeah, I feel weird if I don't paint.
Discombobulated.
That's a good word. That's a good word.
Can't spell it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We like the sound of it.
We like the sound of it. Yeah. Would you count joy as the measure of your success now, Darryn?
Yeah, I would say, like, for me, being happy with what I do is the most important thing. You know, like, it doesn't feel like a job, and I get joy from doing the painting, and my life is really fulfilled from it, you know, like, it's given me so many amazing opportunities, and it's taken me to places that I never ever would have imagined would ever have happened, you know, like going on the cruise ships, like especially
I was
like
going to say the Queen Mary.
Yeah,
Good
like,
God,
you
man.
know,
how
like-
many people can say that?
Yeah, no, and then also like sailing down the coast of South Africa. Like I remember when I was on the ship and I was just sat outside one evening and like looking towards the coastline as we were sailing down, and it was like, I thought to myself,
How did I get you?
yeah, how did I get you? Just from doing some paintings, and I've ended up on a cruise ship looking at South Africa going down the coast. It was just one of those.
Very meta.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, honestly, I've had the best time, Darryn.
Yeah, no, it's been really cool.
I really appreciate you taking the time to chat to me today. It's been one of those kind of remarkable moments, going to have me grinning ear to ear for a while.
Oh, me too, and it's always lovely talking to you. You know that. Yeah.
Your work is just really genuinely breathtaking, and I have one, as you know. I've got the leopard on my mobile. This is my screensaver, and I've got a vertical a screen that sits next to my elephant.
We'll have to get you.
Main screen.
We'll have to get you an original one day, won't we?
Oh God, bloody hell! Yes, all right. I'll save my pennies because we are such a famous artist.
Mates
now.
rates.
Mates rates.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Right, I think you just work really hard at your craft, and it's been inspiring for me personally just
Thank
to
you.
see how that's paid off for you, not only in the quality of your work, but also in the success that you're achieving for yourself now.
Thank you very much.
Your customers over the last 25 years, no doubt, they keep coming back for more,
Yeah,
and they
they do.
hold on to their stories of their very first Darryn Eggleton original.
Yeah, they do.
And it gives all of us other grafters hope. I also want to say that you're another good example of somebody who's incredibly passionate about what they do, still even decades later, and love what you do, and you've managed to make a living out of it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you
Darryn.
very much for having me, Sheila. It's been really, really wonderful. Thank you.
No problem. And if somebody wanted to find out about you, where's the best place for them
Well,
to do that?
the best place mostly is on Instagram. You know, I post on there literally every painting that I do goes on there, and there's lots of other little bits about me that I post on stories. And they can also look at the Clarendon website if they wanted to buy an original or buy limited edition prints. They're all on their website.
And have a look where you are when you go to the galleries and stuff as well.
So they do post events, and there's one in June, and then I have another event at Nature and Art in Gloucester in August. Yeah. But I'll post all these things on my page, on my Instagram,
Brilliant. I'll pop all those links in the show notes as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's it for this episode, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. So, what did you think? Did Darryn give you some level of comfort that even a clearly successful and talented artist has days where he questions himself but continues regardless? Can you see why it's important as a subject matter expert to share your backstory and how you do what you do? You give your audience the ability to see your uniqueness for themselves and to get to really know you, the professional behind the work. One of the other things I got from Darryn's sharing was to clearly identify where your genius lies and create the environment where you can help it flourish. Part of that is working out what working in the flow looks like for you, and the time where your nervous system is in this ventral vagal and you're locked into what energizes and excites you, or brings you to the quickest place where you are calm, relaxed, and highly focused. He's reinforced for me that your value as a subject matter expert lies in this heady mix of depth of knowledge, experience, character, and thoughtful, nuanced approach. This is what drives the meat and bones of your marketable value as a service provider, as well as how you position and relate yourself to the outside world through your personal brand. Who do you know who could do with listening to Darryn's conversation? Share this episode. You know you want to. Until next time, my friend, stay strong, believe you have value, and make good brand decisions.
Thank you for listening to The Brand Compass. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your entrepreneurial friends and help them make good brand decisions. Until next time, let's keep the conversation going at 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗚𝗔𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏